Let's now perform some operations with dates. So one cool thing that we can do with the dates is to do calculations with them. For example, we can subtract one date from another date in order to calculate how many days have passed between the two dates. And this works because whenever we attempt to convert a date to a number, then the result is going to be time stamp in milliseconds. And with these milliseconds, we can then perform calculation. So again, the timestamps are going to be really helpful in this situation. So let's get this date here. Okay, and let me just demonstrate that what I just said. So I will convert to a number this feature. And so you see it is working. And the same thing is going to happen when I use the plus operator on it. Let's see. See here, that is in fact what does means we can now do operations with it. So if we subtract one date from another, then the result is going to be a number like this. And so timestamp in milliseconds, and then we can simply convert these milliseconds back to days or to hours or to whatever we really want. And let's actually now create a function that takes in 2 days, and it is going to return the number of days that pass between these two dates. So let's write days passed, and is going to be a function now, or let's use an arrow function. So one liner, so date 1 and date 2, and then all we need to do is to date 2 minus date 1. And so let's suppose the date 2 is later, but in case we do not want to suppose that, we can simply take the absolute value here. And then it doesn't matter which of the dates here happened first in time. But for now, let's keep it like this. So I can show you later what I mean. And for now, let's actually also return this result. And then I will just call this function. So let's write here calculating. So this is called calculating. So this look like a bit nicer. Days passed. And then let's just create two dates here. Let's use this one. Maybe it take a little bit simpler. Let's say that April 14. So this is the first date. The first that thing happens in time. And then the second date. Let's say that April 24. So this then makes it easy for us to visualize the result. And let's just call this const days 1 and then log into the console. Now let's save this milliseconds. And now this gives these milliseconds for us. Now we just need to convert them. So this is similar to what we did. So this is one of the previous lectures we did, and we want to divide by 1000. And so this convert milliseconds to seconds. Then the times 60 to convert to minutes. And then 60 times to convert it to hours. And then 24. So which converts it to days, and which again that's because they're here 24 hours in a day. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, 60 seconds in 1 minute, and then 1000 milliseconds in a second. And so now we get 10 days. So you see that. And now let's see for from April 24 to April 14. We have exactly 10 days. Now what if we here see we pass 4. So now it's going to be the other way around. So here we have minus 10, but we don't want that. We always want it to be 4. So that's what I mean earlier. What we can now simply take the absolute value of this math dot absolute. So which of the dates we pass in first is, if we now put 4 here, then 14. So then the result is going to be 10. Now this works. So now if we need really precise calculations, for example, including time changes due to daylight saving changes and other weird edges cases like that, then you should use a date library like movement.js, and that's library that is available for free for all JavaScript developers, but for something simple like this we should be fine. So let's just consider this. One of these days here also has some time. Let's say this one here also 10 in the morning or 10 hours and 8 minutes. So that does really matter. But let's see what happens here the days now. So it is indeed we get the 10.4222, and in this case we can simply use math dot round on all of this. So keep in mind that, but I will just leave it like this. And now let's actually use this function to format and display our dates in a little bit nicer way. So here in our application, basically what I want to do is if one movement happened today, then here instead of the current date, I want to display today. Then if it is happened yesterday, I want to write yesterday. And then if it is happened like a couple of days ago, then I want to say like 2 days ago or 5 days ago instead of the date. So, and I'm sure you have seen this kind of stuff in many web applications. So, for example, if you post something on Facebook and if you didn't watch it the next day, it will say that you posted it yesterday. So, it is not going to display the exact days if it was just yesterday. So, that is really nice of using a function like this. Let's grab this one and I'm copying it, and then let's go to the display moments function where we do actually print the date. Now this is all kind of getting out of hand. See here. So we have a lot of extra code here. Now we will add even more to this function here and then even some more stuff. So let's take all of this here and actually create a new function which will have the purpose of formatting this. And so now let's cut this one here as I just said and create a function up here just to make it a little bit more modulo. And then we can also reuse this function in some other place, even though right now in this case we don't need it. So I'm just doing this to split up the functionality a little bit across different places in our code. So this one receives a date as an input and it will return the formatted date then. Now, okay, I'm copying all of this, but actually this one should stay back here where we get it from, and then also so this we need this variable back here where it comes from. So display date, because we use it down here as the value that we eventually want to print to the user interface. And so this one should actually be the result of calling a new function. So this format movement date, so format movement date, and here we pass in the date variable that we just created up here. And so with this we just exported the functionality. So that is into a new function. So let's grab this one and put it here at the top of the scope. And so for now, just to keep this working, let's return this value. So now let's just make sure by logging in log. So as you see, the dates are now still being correctly printed. So we successfully exported this functionality of displaying the dates into this function. And now we can just implement what I just said. So basically calculating how many days passed since the current date and between the date that we are working with. Now let's say that const days passed, and between So there is a new date, and then the second date is the date that we just received here. New date and date that we just received. So let's just print this to the console. So now let's see here. So we are printing here actually the wrong thing. So we want days passed. So that was a mistake. But here see it is still not correct. I have another mistake. Probably you saw this here. Calculating days past function. I didn't not even to call this function yet. But now it should be good, and indeed now we have our days. And now let's actually round them. So that's what I was just saying earlier. So that we should probably round these dates. We should already learn how to do that. So math dot round all of this, and so this looks now better. So let's say actually modify our dates here a little bit, and you should do the same. What I am going to do is to make one date yesterday and then also a date like 3 or 4 days ago. So you see what's your current date and then simply subtract 1. So for me it's August 2 and I am going to use August 1. And then also July 28 and maybe another July here 25 or maybe 26. So now it's just so that we can see like the yesterday or 3 days ago or something like that. So to do now, then let's go back here to our function. Now then we want to implement some logic based on this days past. So if days past is 0 strictly equals 0, and so basically that is if we do something today, then actually the string that we want to print is not the current date but instead today. Now then if one day has passed, we want to return yesterday. Now next up, if well let's say if the number of days passed is within the last week, so that is less or equal 7, then we will return the number of days. So days passed, days ago, and else only if more than 7 days has passed, only then we need to return actual date. Or doesn't make sense this. So let's save it and see if it works or not. Now see that it is working, it is beautiful now. So 5 days ago, yesterday, and 7 days ago, and then here are the other dates, and now it is working perfectly. Just to do something, and let's transfer like 500 to Jessica. That is going to be the other way around. Jessica Davis 500. And now we should get one log here with today. So now see, yes, we have. So we should get the same. And now we have a deposit coming from today. And actually we have something from 7 days ago. So great, that is amazing. If we ask me that was it capable of now doing something like this, which likes a real web application that you might use every day. Now maybe the logic here is a bit confusing with all of these returns, but that's completely normal. So as once we return, the function stops executing. And so these other returns will then never be reached. So this is a pretty common technique and actually we wouldn't not even need this else. So if I just remove this here, then all of this code will only be executed. So if all of these here are not executed, so only if all of these here is false. So you see it works the exact same way now. See here. So our application is now better. And in the next two lectures, we will then do what I mentioned earlier, which is internationalization, which is to basically format these dates and also these numbers according to each of these countries of these accounts. So this is all about the session. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.